So let me ask you, how confused are you when it comes to all of the experts and the influencers telling you what you should or shouldn't be eating? I know I sure as hell was. Do I eat carbs? Do I eat dairy, eggs, red meat, fruit, starchy vegetables, grains, low fat, high fat? Should I avoid lectins? Wait, what the hell is a lectin? Good God, what am I supposed to eat? Why do we overthink it and complicate a relatively uncomplicated thing? Hey everybody, I'm Rachel. Welcome to my channel. This is my space where I am just trying to get and keep myself healthy in every aspect of my life. And hopefully I can inspire other people to do the same, whether you've been in my shoes or not. If you don't know what shoes those are, go watch my first video. I'll link it down below. Also, please, if you like what I am doing here, or you just want to help me grow as a channel, please hit that thumbs up button to like the video and maybe subscribe. That shows YouTube that what I am putting out there might be worthwhile, so they will share it with other people. Okay, so today I am going to talk about my diet, which isn't really a diet, why I eat the way I do, and the tips that help me to do it. First off though, major side note, I finished my oral chemo a little over a month ago after over 2 years on it, so yay! Now comes the true test of whether all of the changes that I have made in my life are going to continue to make a difference for me. But getting back on track, I always thought that I was taking care of myself and eating well over the years. But in hindsight, I was kind of half-assing it. I had no clue what I was doing, and I was following trends sometimes without even realizing it. Most of the food that I ate just wasn't as healthy as it should have been. My body was sending me a lot of signals, and I wasn't paying attention to any of them. And in my opinion, I've paid the price for that. Like a lot of people, I waited to really start taking care of myself the way that I should. We all tend to wait, for a surgery, an illness, or something major to really get motivated to do anything about our health. We're reactive rather than preventative, and that is a big mistake. I'm here to encourage you to avoid that from here on out and be proactive in taking care of yourself. Because, the best time to close that barn door is before the horses get out. And the best time to take care of your body is while you are still healthy. Now, eating healthy is going to look different for everyone. I don't care what anyone says. There is no one perfect diet for everybody. Everyone has different dietary needs or food preferences. Some have food allergies or intolerances that restrict the foods that they eat, or they're guided by religious beliefs or ethical preferences. Then there's budgets and availability. There are a lot of different eating styles out there, and lots of them can be healthy. I'm telling you what's working for me and has me feeling really good. You have to figure out what works for you, your lifestyle, and your budget. I am not saying you have to do what I do. I take this pretty seriously because of my history. You may, though, just be wanting to take better care of yourself so that you feel better or avoid or improve any long-term illnesses or, maybe lose some weight. Hopefully, you'll just be motivated to look a little more closely at what you are eating and maybe implement some healthy changes. You don't have to do them all or any of them, the choice is yours. So, what's the first thing I did? I stopped dieting. We live in this diet culture. We track our calories or points. We cut out entire food groups. We give ourselves cheat meals and look at food as some chore. There was a study in 2020 that said that the average adult will try 126 diets in their lifetime. 126. And over 52% of the respondents said that they were really confused about which diets are sustainable over long periods of time. 1 in 5 of them had no idea where to turn for reliable info on diets, and more than half were baffled regarding which foods should and shouldn't be cut out of their eating habits. That's freaking insane. Diets are incredibly subjective. Everybody's got an opinion. Every diet has a hook, and all these experts with all of these opinions, some of them have written multiple books on every single trend that's out there. They too are jumping on all of the diet bandwagons. So how are we supposed to know what to believe? And, the scare tactics some of these people use, oh my Lord, is it just to sell you their book or their product? I don't know. Creating that much fear can lead to major stress at the grocery store and really an unhealthy relationship with food. I know because I caught myself walking down that road. It is no wonder that we are sick, overweight, and hangry. We focus on deprivation and guilt rather than looking at food as something that's meant to sustain us and nourish us. I was always an everything in moderation kind of eater. Well, everything includes a lot of crap. After my first diagnosis, I watched the documentary Forks Over Knives. It made a lot of sense at the time. They had a big study behind it, and the people seemed pretty healthy. So I dived in and I decided I really needed to cut out animal products and fat. Problem was, I still felt like crap. Then I read about the keto diet being excellent for cancer patients and survivors. Watched a couple of documentaries, they had studies too, and the facts behind that made sense as well. So even though it was diametrically opposed to everything that the vegan experts were saying, I was all in. Does this bouncing around sound familiar? And it only got worse from there, because then I got my second cancer diagnosis and I jumped into that rabbit hole of research. And my God, I was still getting diet whiplash. Every expert was saying something different, and most everyone can find some kind of research to back up their data. I was utterly confused. When I stumbled on the research on the gut microbiome, it was my light bulb moment. If you want to watch that video, the video that I did on that, I'll link it too. But that is when I decided I was done with trying to figure out which diet was right for me, and I was just going to focus on nourishing my body and feeding my gut. That leads me to number 2. I eat real food. What does that mean? It means I eat real, whole, minimally processed food that is as close to its natural state as possible the majority of the time. I shoot for about 90% of the time, but do I make it there all the time? Probably not. I don't obsess if I'm going out with friends or I'm at a party, but I always try to make the best choices that I can. And now I know that there are foods that give me issues like joint pain, and I do my best to avoid those. It's about eating the best quality sources of protein, carbs, and healthy fats that I can afford, that are minimally processed and don't have a ton of extra ingredients to them. Number 3, I am going to preach this one until the day that I die. I avoid ultra-processed foods as much as I can. Health experts, not necessarily diet experts and influencers, don't agree on much, but they do agree on this. A diet expert or influencer is going to tell you it's okay to eat whatever you want, as long as it fits into your macros or you don't exceed your calorie count for the day. I call bullshit. Ultra-processed foods are not real foods. They are edible creations that are made from manufactured ingredients, that may or may not have been extracted from actual foods. They are put together to create shelf-stable, convenient, but admittedly very tasty meals or snacks. But make no mistake though, they are not real food. Take a look at the huge ingredient list on some of your faves, and you will find things that you would never be able to recreate in your kitchen. They're void of any nutrients. They aren't at all satiating, and they are designed that way so that you eat more and more of them. Manufacturers spend a lot of money and time creating foods that manipulate our taste buds and trigger the reward center in our brain so that we start to crave them. They alter our taste buds enough that real foods taste bland by comparison. Try to remember though that they are offering you nothing in the way of nutrition or health benefits, and they're actually harming your health. They're low in fiber, they're high in calories, they have tons of added sugar, salts, and heavily processed seed oils and refined grains. Not only do they not nourish our bodies, a growing body of evidence has consistently linked overconsumption of ultra-processed foods to poor health outcomes. High consumption has been linked to obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, hypertension, and dying prematurely from all causes. Seriously, do you need more reasons than that? Number 4, I read labels. And I mean the nutrition facts and the ingredient label, not just what the manufacturer slaps on the front. Whole grain, sugar-free, fat-free, low-fat, gluten-free, organic, non-GMO, low-carb, keto-friendly. These are all buzzwords manufacturers love to put on the front of the label, hoping that it'll be convincing enough for you and you won't look at the crap ingredients list. Sucralose is sugar-free, but I would argue that it's as bad or worse for you than actual sugar. Made with whole grains, just means that there is something somewhere in the product that's whole grain. It could be way down on the ingredient list in a minute amount. I try to look for around 5 or fewer ingredients on a label. That's ballpark. It's not oh my God, there are 7 ingredients, put it back. But if I don't have a clue what most of them are, or I can't pronounce them, I tend to put it back. And don't think that because you've always bought something that the ingredients will always be the same. Companies change ingredients all the time, and they don't have to tell us. This one is especially important if you suffer from food allergies or intolerances. Number 5, I avoid added sugar, refined grains, and seed oils as much as I can. I am not talking about the sugar that's naturally occurring in foods like fruits and vegetables. That is not what's bad for you, because that is accompanied by fiber, which helps to slow down the absorption. But sugar is added to almost every ultra-processed food out there. There are well over 60 names for it that you'll see in an ingredients list, but the nutrition facts label will state how much added sugar a product has. So why is it added to almost everything? Sugar not only adds sweetness to foods, it helps to extend the shelf life by keeping the food from drying out. And it makes foods more palatable by improving the flavor and the mouthfeel. That's really important, especially when you have a lot of artificial ingredients in a food, or you've removed all the fat without adding all that sugar back. It's going to taste horrible. Food manufacturers excel at making ultra-processed foods highly palatable and addictive. Yes, addictive. Too much added sugar in our diets puts us at risk for all of the same issues I mentioned with ultra-processed foods. According to a study published in 2014 in the Journal of the American Medical Association, a diet heavy in added sugar is linked to risk of dying from heart disease, even if you aren't overweight. On average, we consume 2 to 3 times the RDA of added sugar daily, which is 9 teaspoons for men and 6 teaspoons for women. Now, that adds up to about 60 pounds of added sugar per year per person. And be aware that while coconut sugar, maple syrup, and honey may have more nutrients in them and a lower glycemic index, to the body, they are still sugar, and they're still considered added sugars. Just use them in moderation. Now, seed oils, those are a heavily debated topic. Some researchers will tell you that they have no problem with seed oils. Others will tell you that they are toxic and extremely detrimental to our health, and as always, there are studies that support both camps. Personally, I avoid them when I can. For me, it goes back to reducing the chronic inflammation in my body. Look up how they're made on YouTube. It's actually pretty gross. They go through a refining process that includes processing with a petroleum-based solvent to extract the maximum amount of oil from the seed. Then they are bleached and deodorized to improve the taste, the color, and the clarity of the oil, and to extend their shelf life. All of this strips the oil of any beneficial compounds like vitamins and phenols that might have been there in the first place. And research has shown that they raise our omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratios from what should be anywhere from a 1-to-1 to a 4-to-1 traditionally to about 16-to-1 in the standard American diet. And this imbalance is what promotes a state of chronic inflammation in our bodies. These are the oils used in damn near everything that you buy, and in restaurants and at home in deep fryers, where they are repeatedly reheated and reused, which just further oxidizes them and adds to their harmful effects. I try to stick to healthier fats like avocado and extra virgin olive oil, ghee, coconut oil, butter. Even in the processed foods that I do buy, that's what I look for. As for refined grains, same story. All the nutrients and the fiber have been removed. I don't need to say much more about that. Number 6, I prioritize high quality protein and fiber. I pretty much stopped tracking calories and macros besides those two. I realize when I eat adequate, good quality protein and fiber for my body, everything else pretty much falls into place. Most people don't get enough of either of these, and they're both incredibly important. Proteins are the building blocks that make up our organs, tendons, hormones, and of course, our muscles. They help our body to repair itself after an injury. They help to lower our blood pressure and increase fat burning, and they also help lower and stabilize our blood glucose levels. Eating adequate protein, along with staying physically active and lifting heavy things, is one of the best ways to reduce age-related muscle loss, which is called sarcopenia, which starts as early as age 40. The older we get, the more protein we need, because our bodies don't use it as efficiently to build and maintain muscles as we age. And quite honestly, most of us probably need a lot more than we're getting. The recommendations that you're seeing everywhere are the minimum amounts that we need so that we don't fall into a deficient state. Long-term studies show that people who eat more protein tend to maintain bone mass better as they get older, and they have a lower risk of fractures and osteoporosis. If you're like me and take meds that have thrown you into menopause, or you're just there naturally, that's incredibly important. Women have increased bone loss after menopause, and aromatase inhibitors and chemo can speed up that loss. Research has shown that it's best to try to spread your protein out throughout the day, if you can. Our bodies can only use so much of it in one sitting, and we can't store it to use it later. So what we don't use will be used as energy, or it can be stored as fat. I get most of my protein from high-quality animal sources because it's a complete protein source, although I eat a lot of plant sources too. I eat the best quality of all the sources that I can afford. I am a big believer in you are what you eat eats. Animals that eat more of their natural diet provide leaner cuts of meat, reducing the saturated fat levels in, say, your beef. And they have higher levels of omega-3 fats, iron, and other nutrients. Now, is it a game changer if you just can't afford all of that? I would argue no, absolutely not. You eat the absolute best that you can afford. And if that's conventionally raised, it's still way better for you than ultra-processed non-foods. And contrary to popular belief, there are numerous studies that prove there is no evidence that a high-protein diet harms kidney function in people who don't have kidney disease. And fiber? Fiber feeds your gut microbiome, which leads to better gut health, which leads to a stronger immune system, better digestion, reduced cancer risk, and a host of other benefits. I'll also preach that one until the day that I drop. Bottom line, protein and fiber are both incredibly satiating. So you fill up more, and maybe you won't be as tempted to eat the ultra-processed stuff. And your gut, your bones, and your muscles are getting what they need to keep you healthy and strong. As for fat intake, I don't intentionally try to add additional fat to my diet because the foods that I eat, they tend to give me all that I need. That said, please don't be afraid of fat. Just keep them good quality. Our cells need fat for normal cell growth and repair. Okay, on to number 7. I eat a lot of plants. Am I telling you to stop eating meat? Obviously not. But you do you. I am just telling you to eat more plants. That is where we get the fiber we need in our diets. Plants have essential nutrients that you cannot get from other foods. You can't get phytonutrients or phytochemicals from other sources. Phyto literally means plant. Carotenoids like beta-carotene and lycopene, flavonoids, resveratrol, phytoestrogens, vitamins, and antioxidants. Plants strengthen your immune system by feeding your gut microbiome. I am saying eat plant foods with every meal, every snack. Vegetables, fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, roots, tubers, minimally processed whole grains. Even herbs, spices, and tea are plants. Nut butters, they all count. Eating plants just helps all your body's systems work better for long-term health. Okay, now some people are going to disagree with me and tell me to avoid so many fruits and vegetables because of their carb content. Whatever. Even with the amount of plant foods I eat, my carb intake is well below the typical average in the American diet because I avoid ultra-processed foods the best that I can. My carbs are anywhere from 100 to 120 total grams a day, and my fiber intake is like 25 to 30 grams a day. I almost always pair my carbs with fats and protein, and that slows down digestion and avoids spikes to my blood sugar. The source of carbs I eat are high quality, so I don't worry about them. Number 8, last one. I cook at home as often as I can with real ingredients, and I am not talking about prepackaged meals. I know exactly what is going into my food and my body the majority of the time. I've got several simple, nutritious recipes in rotation that I can throw together quickly, or I can toss in a crock pot and let them cook all day. And if you make enough, you have leftovers for lunch. So I'm going to finish with this, don't complicate it. Food is meant to be enjoyed and to nourish us. People question my eating habits all of the time, They think that it's got to be boring or that I am somehow depriving myself because I seldom eat junk food. But once I realized how good real whole foods make me feel mentally and physically, and how absolutely delicious they are, I have no desire to go back to eating junk. When I cut out processed foods, my taste buds changed. I can't even eat a lot of the foods that I used to eat because they are just so sickening sweet to me, and I can't finish them even if I want to. Am I saying that I am never going to eat a Snickers again or drink a Diet Dr. Pepper? Of course not. I am human, but I'm not keeping them on hand. You have to retrain your taste buds, and that takes some time. Embrace flavors beyond sweet or salty. Season your foods with herbs and spices, garlics and onions. Over time, you will notice the change in your palate, and you'll notice a change in the way you feel. I promise. For me, eating this way, it's a no-brainer. I don't have to think about whether I should or not, because I have some serious motivators. Besides the cancer, I developed lymphedema after my second diagnosis. I will talk more about that later, but it's a lifelong condition and there is no cure. My diet and exercise have brought it down to manageable levels that my therapist and I weren't ever sure that I would reach. And I'm going to do everything in my power to continue to improve it. And I have a strong family history of diabetes and high blood pressure. That was always my focus before my cancer diagnosis. I never even considered the possibility of breast cancer. I refuse to resign myself to any of this being my fate. We've all got a choice to live a healthy lifestyle, and that is the choice that I make every single day. I know a lot of people in my boat who have decided that they're going to eat and do whatever the hell they want because, it doesn't matter what they did or what they do. They still got cancer once, twice, or whatever. So they're going to live their life the way they want to and enjoy it. Amen to that. More power to them. I am living my life the way I want as well. This is the choice that I made. I feel fabulous 95% of the time. I'm happier, I'm not achy, I'm strong, and I'm getting stronger. And oh my God, I love food now. If you knew me when I was younger, you'd be shocked by that. Okay, so that's it for me. Those are my thoughts. Please tell me yours in the comments, or let me know what it is that you do to stay healthy, because I'd love to hear it because I'm hoping to learn from you as well. And please, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing. It will really help my channel to grow. As always, thanks for watching and take care of you. Bye-bye.